Cuando yo era niño, el desastre más temido era una guerra nuclear. Por eso teníamos en el sótano un barril como este, lleno de tarros de alimentos y también de agua. Cuando llegara un ataque nuclear, debíamos escondernos allí abajo y comer lo que hubiera en el barril. Hoy, la mayor catástrofe mundial no se parece a esto. Más bien es como esto.
The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Filántropo artificial.
The Justice Department has charged Microsoft with engaging in anti-competitive and exclusionary practices designed to maintain its monopoly in personal computer operating systems.
In a move to overshadow the negative press, Gates invested $100 million to set up the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Overnight, Bill Gates transformed his public image from ruthless tech monopolizer to the world's most generous philanthropist.
Our own global leaders through their Young Global Leaders program as early as 1992, two of the first graduates being Angela Merkel and Bill Gates. And we would have understood already then what we will show you now through this proceeding. These financial crimes went unchallenged by our politicians because they're aiding and abetting those who commit them and profiting from these crimes.
Bill empezó a darle dinero a la OMS, donde logró desarrollar mucha influencia, al punto de hablar en conjunto con su ex directora Margaret Chan, y se le suman los rumores de que el actual director, Tedros Ghebreyesus, fue puesto ahí por el mismo Gates. Bill y Melinda fundaron la alianza farmacéutica de vacunación Gavi en el año 2000, en conjunto con el Banco Mundial, UNICEF y la OMS.
If you just look at healthcare workers around the world, they deserve to get the vaccine first. You know, here in the United States, really, it's going to be Black people who really should get it first, and many indigenous people.
African bodies have been used as lab rats for many years for Big Pharma. They are using us for trials, they are using us for testing, but as an African, I say no more.
Africans, they're tired of becoming the guinea pigs of the world.
That we're administering these vaccines lied to the guardians of these girls and told the girls, oh, this is going to cure cancer, you're never going to have cancer. And these girls became severely injured. Some of them developed seizures, some of them developed cancer. And the Gates Foundation denied that it had been clinical trials. And it was so bad that the parliament in India created a task force, they studied it, and they kicked out the Gates Foundation.
In the midterm, it's these treatments that can cut the death rate down potentially dramatically. And then the final solution, which is a year to 2 years off, is the vaccine. So we've got to go full speed ahead on all three fronts.
Just to head off the conspiracy theorists, maybe we shouldn't call the vaccine the final solution. Maybe just the best solution.
Normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population.
So you can imagine how the manipulation of the media, by the media, the manipulation of public opinion by leaders from all political parties unanimously saying, we want a vaccine. And the worst thing is they are taken as philanthropists, whereas what this actually is the acquisition of political and financial power.
Right, so genetically modified organisms, that's where you create a new seed by using some biological approach that changes the gene. One example is you can put a gene in that prevents the plant from getting disease. And so a disease that's wiping out the crops of poor people and causing tens of thousands to starve, you can get rid of that. The techniques we're using here were actually invented for human medicine. And in the case of human medicine, we don't have a total ban on all drugs that are created this way, nor do we have a total acceptance. For plants, it's going to be the same.
Are confident that you will recommend indictments against all 6 putative figurehead defendants: Christian Drosten of Germany, Anthony Fauci of the United States, Tedros of the World Health Organization, Bill Gates, BlackRock, and Pfizer. Ladies and gentlemen, this case is about a long-planned agenda of a group of ultra-rich people and their financial mafia based in the city of London and on Wall Street to use a pseudo-pandemic as a guise behind which, while our attention is on the pandemic, they want to complete their decades-long efforts to gain full and complete control over all of it.
We're building a financial system from scratch today. We do it to plan for this better digital future, to manage a secure transition from the current system, from cash-based to digital. Innovations like vaccines. We need a measurement system that tracks the vaccines.
Well, each of these devices that are injection have the capacity to also have a small chip. What that chip does is it has the unique serial number for each dose.
It will use a microchip scanner to read his unique microchip ID code. The scanner, which emits a low radio frequency, displays a microchip ID.
The practice of implanting chips in people is also on the rise. Those who embrace the idea say they see it as a way to take back control.
Like the putative defendant Bill Gates, the Rockefellers and others, the drastic reduction of the world's population and the manipulation of the remaining population's DNA all the way into transhumanism. Their most important goal is, however, the controlled, by them of course, implosion of the completely looted financial system and simultaneous introduction of a digital currency issued by one World Bank controlled by them, and just as important, the introduction of a world government under the UN which has come under their full control in 2019. For this purpose, they have made concrete plans for this corona pandemic since at least the spring of 2001. Operation Dark Winter, followed by another such rehearsal, the lockstep exercise by the Rockefeller Foundation in 2010, and finally Event 201 in October of 2019 in New York, sponsored by the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, the Rockefeller Foundation, the World Economic Forum, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
The last 20% also need vaccines. In fact, we need even more vaccines. But I think it's doable in the next generation.
Here's the extra delivery.
We need more nurses, need a little more electricity. We need the science for all those neat new vaccines. And so we can end poverty in the next 20 years and reach every child. We're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein.
Reported at that time that you had a number of meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, who, when you met him 10 years ago, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution from minors.
I had dinners with him. I regret doing that. He had relationships with people he said would give to global health, which is a interest I have. That goes back a long time ago now. So there's nothing new on that.
It was reported that you continued to meet with him over several years, and that, in other words, a number of meetings.
And, I've said I regretted having those dinners, and there's absolutely nothing new on that.
Is there a lesson for you for?
Well, he's dead, so.
In general, you always have to be careful.